Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Isa Safinatun Nisa. I'm from English Education Study Program, 6th grade. This video presentation is created to fulfill the final assignment of the research proposal seminar course. For this occasion, I will be presenting my research entitled The Effectiveness of TikTok Content Creator to Improve Student Speaking Skill at SMA and One Children. Here is the material that I will present in this presentation. The first is chapter 1 about introduction. The second is chapter 2 about literature review. And the third is chapter 3 about methodology. So, next is about chapter 1 introduction. In this chapter, there are some points that I will present. The first is background of the study. Speaking is one of the skills that must be mastered if you want to be able to speak English. Speaking English is a person's ability to speak English, including the use of words, phrases, and sentences in everyday conversation. According to Parupali SR 2019, in this modern world, communication skills play a vital role, and one must have mastery over these skills to get success in their respective fields. In the digital era, technology has made learning English more accessible with resources like website, application, educational video, and etc. According to Hamdi MK 2023, modern learning extends to online platform and social media, offering flexible and engaging content. TikTok, with 4.9 star rating and over a million reviews on the Play Store, stand out for its diverse features, allowing users to create and view short videos. It is effectively enhanced speaking skill through English learning content from various creators. The next point is about problem of the research. In this research, there are 6 problems that researchers find. The first is student lack of vocabulary knowledge make them lazy to start speaking English and chooses to remain silent. The second is to compose one sentence both to ask and to answer a question. Students need a lot of time to think about it. And the third is lack of confidence in trying to speak English. The fourth is there are still passive participating students in class. The fifth is student English scores do not reach the minimum score. And the last is student lack of interest in learning English, making them lazy and difficult to increase vocabulary. The next point is about research purposes. His research aimed to find out whether there is a significant change in the speaking abilities of the student at SMA and One Childhood by using TikTok as learning media. And the next point is about the significance of the research. The first is the benefit for researcher is to fulfill the requirement for the researcher to obtain a bachelor degree and discover new discoveries in the field of education. And the second benefit is for students. The use of creating video content a day in my life in TikTok can have a big influence on improving student speaking skill. And the last benefit is for teacher. Benefit for teacher is to help teachers improve the speaking skill of students at SMA and One Childhood by utilizing technology, namely the social media TikTok. The next is chapter 2, literature review. The first is theoretical foundation. The point of theoretical foundation is definition of speaking. Speaking is the ability to express thoughts, ideas, or information to others orally through language. According to Bailey 2019, speaking is processes of interaction where speakers intend to build meaning through producing, receiving, and processing information. According to 2019, speaking is an important ability that must be possessed by students. That's because in speaking can be known the student ability to produce the target language or English. Learning English is very important because English is a language that can be accepted anywhere. The next is function of speaking. In speaking process, people try to communicate with each other and use their language to send their message to the second person. Muklas 2017 in Arifin 2021. In addition, speaking also functions when discussing problem solving, with speaking helping to identify problems and find solutions together. And the most relevant function to this research is for the learning and teaching process. Speaking can be said to be a tool used in learning process, such as giving instructions and discussing. So the next is element of speaking. By considering the element of speaking proposed by various experts, speaking indicator can be summarized. In terms of learning to speak, language learner must know several things. According to Harris, 1969 in Afriani 2021, speaking elements are divided into five. Namely, the first is pronunciation. Pronunciation is difficult part in ability to talk. Pronoun itself characterized as the manner by which a word is pronounced. The second is grammar. Grammar is standard building and consolidating sentences. It's critical to be advanced by language figure how to create sentences correctly. And the third is vocabulary. Vocabulary is essential information to be owned by a language student. The fourth is fluency. Essential the quality of fluency in using language in accordance with the flow of thought and correct grammar. And the last is comprehension. Comprehension means understanding what other person is saying. The next point is about definition of TikTok. TikTok content is short video created and shared by users on the TikTok platforms. This content is very diverse. Users can freely express themselves with a variety of genres, namely dance, comedy, lip sync, educational tutorial, and etc. And the next is TikTok as learning media. Utilization of the TikTok application in English language learning can be done in various ways. First, the teacher can make short video about the material to be taught to students. For example, when teaching about pronunciation, the teacher can make a video about how to pronounce certain words. Then, the teacher asks students to make the same video that the teacher gave. Then, how to combine entertainment content with content containing learning as will be done in this study, namely the creation of content about the daily life of each student with the content a day in my life. And the next is how to use application. The way to use TikTok is very simple. First, download the TikTok application on the Play Store or App Store. The second is the user will be directed to register using a Gmail, Google account, and can also use a Facebook account or with a cell phone number. Then you can use the TikTok application and all the features in it. Next is about theoretical framework. There are two variables in this study. Dependent variable is TikTok content creator and sorry. The independent variable is TikTok content creator and the dependent variable is speaking skill. Currently, one of the applications that is much favored by teenagers is TikTok application. Teacher can utilize this TikTok application as a learning media, one of which is in English lessons. Students will be directed to make daily life videos using English, which are then edited as creatively as possible. With this, students learn English vocabulary that is used daily so that it can improve student speaking skills. And then the next is hypothesis. The first is alternative hypothesis or HA. It is the use of TikTok content creator is not effective in improving the speaking skill of students of SMA and one should do. And the next is null hypothesis of or HO. The use of TikTok content creator is effective in improving the speaking skill of students of SMA and one should do. A statistical hypothesis is a statement or assumption of population that is tested using sample data. Related to this research, the statistical hypothesis is if FO more than FT, HA is accepted and HO is rejected. But if FO less than FT, HA is rejected and HO is accepted. Next is chapter 3 about research methodology. The first is kind of research. This research using quantitative method and the design of this research is experimental. The next is research site. The location of this research is in SMAN 1 Ciledug. And the next is research subject. The population is the 10th grade student of SMAN 1 Ciledug and the sample is the 10th grade student in classes A and B. The researcher choose sample of this research is used like a random sample because it ensures that the sample taken is unbiased and reflect the characteristic that exist in the population such as age, gender, education background, and other variables. And then the next is technique collecting data. The first technique collecting data is pretest. Pretest was given to students at the first meeting to find out the student abilities before using TikTok video making strategy. And the second is treatment. Treatment is a process of applying media used by researcher, namely in the form of making video content a day in my life and TikTok application. And the last technique collecting data is post-test. Post-test was given at the last meeting after the implementation of the strategy to find out whether the strategy can contribute the student speaking ability and whether there is significant differences from students who use the strategy and not use the strategy. Then the next is about research design. The research design of this research is designed by Craswell M. Noni Purnamasari 2022. Can be seen as follows. So, the group A is class experimental and group B is class control. In group B, there is no independent variable. And then the next is about research variable. The first is dependent variable or X. Dependent variable is the variable that is affected or measured as a result of the independent variable. Dependent variable in this research is speaking ability. And then independent variable or Y. Independent variables can be interpreted as factor or condition that are manipulated or controlled by a researcher to see the impact on the dependent variable. The independent variable in this research is TikTok content creator. The next material about tool and material that used in this research. The tool is laptop, smartphone, TikTok application, writing instrument, and internet. And the material is TikTok content, assessment rubrics, supplementary teaching, and observation sheets. And the last material is about technique analyzing the data. In this study, researchers use a sample statistical formula to compare the result of student pre-test and post-test. The data will be analyzed using the t-test to determine whether or not there is a significant change. The formula is illustrated as follows. You can see the screen, and where x1 is average of the first group, x2 is average of the second group, s2 per 1 is variance of the first group, and s2 per 2 is variance of the second group, and the next is n1 is sample size from the first group, and the last n2 is sample size from the second group. So that's all presentation from me. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.